Alrighty, folks. It's quite an emotional week in Patriot land, if you will. There's a certain quarterback coming back here to play. And you know what? For this one, I had to dig out all the chops. I had to get this is basically Patriot week, if you haven't noticed by now, on the YWC Football Talk. And with me today is from Dear Patriots Nation, fellow Canadian Patriot fan Ray Rauth. I hope I got that right. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm a little upset with you, man.
Oh, why?
Because my gimmick was being the Canadian Patriots fan. That's what I built my following on. And all of a sudden I get this message by another Canadian Patriots fan with a podcast and a YouTube channel. And I was like, what the hell's up with this, man? Just that's called, I think you're a wrestling fan, right? That is infringement in, what is it?
Gimmick infringement.
Gimmick infringement. That's what it is, right? Yeah.
You know what?
I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me. I love chopping up football, and I always got to talk. You know, my partner's from Boston, and most of our fan base from Boston. It's nice to talk to a Canadian. It's nice.
Yeah, just a couple of local GTA guys talking about the Pats and everything. Because I'm not like the usual Patriots fan. I love the Patriots, diehard Patriots fan, but then like every other Boston team, I'm Toronto through and through. So whether that be painful Leafs, Raptors, Jays, everything else kind of gets pushed to the side. So when I see like Patriots Twitter and stuff talking like when they switch to like Bruins and Celtics, and for this week only Red Sox, it's like, oh, it's just like little daggers. Because next week potentially I may have to come out and say, hey, we're not friends for 48 hours, but then after, hopefully we play in the wild card game, then we can be friends again.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Blue Jays just because I love what the city's like when the Blue Jays are good. I don't watch hockey. So I troll Maple Leaf fans because you guys are just so easy to troll. So and my dad's a Habs fan, so I'll just like pop on one of his jerseys and strut around, or I'll throw on a Bruins jersey just to mess with everybody. I really couldn't care less about who puts the puck in the net. So
That's all good. No, I appreciate stuff like that where it's just trolling for fun. It's like you're not trying to be like a dick or anything like that. But no, hey, I may have stolen your gimmick, but at the same time too, it's always good because like you're right. Like a lot of the Pats fans I talk to, there's a few guys I have that are from the Mass, Boston area. But then it's like for us, it's a little different because we're always at like outsider perspective on like how we became like a Patriots fan. And like that's why I always say this week's emotional too, because I say this. I don't know if I'm the fan that I am today if it's not for Tom.
Okay. I think I'm a little older than you, Griff. I know I look young. I know this physique, the way I've taken care of myself. I know your audience is going to be shocked, but I might be a little bit older than you. I became a fan in the Bledsoe era. And I remember my father saying to me in 2001, this Belichick needs to be fired. Playing this Brady bum over Bledsoe. How ridiculous is this? Bledsoe's a $10 million man. Largest contract in NFL history that summer. And Belichick had to go because this Brady kid, who's Brady, my father will still tell you to this day because Bledsoe played half the AFC Championship game that Bledsoe got them to the Super Bowl, and that Brady did it. No, listen, Brady was, Brady was obviously very impactful. It was my hero growing up. That was right in the thick of my high school years, sort of those early 2000s. I feel good, especially when I'm talking to other Boston fans who grew up in Boston, because I can be like, hey man, like I was a Patriots fan in the Bledsoe era. I was a Patriots fan before, Brady was drafted. So I don't get kind of dubbed with that bandwagon piece. You know what I mean? But, it's all about having a good time. For me, I don't know how you became a Patriots fan. It could have been about Brady. Like for me, back in the early 90s, mid 90s, we got 3 games a week, right? We got the one, whatever Global was showing. Global showed football at that time. For Americans, it's our Canadian cable company or cable show, and Global played the 1 o'clock, the 2 o'clock, and Monday Night Football, and or the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and Monday Night Football. And usually we got Green Bay or Dallas in the afternoon, and you got either Buffalo, Detroit, or New England at 1 o'clock. And I liked the New England jerseys better, and my dad was a Patriots fan, so I became a Patriots fan. That's how I became a New England fan.
For me, my story is a little more unconventional. I'm pretty sure it was the 2001 season. My parents recall it. I mean, I'm trying to figure. I don't remember if it was the Tuck Rule game or if it was the AFC Championship. But we were on that same day. We were my family, so it was my mom, my dad, my sister, and I. We were on a trip to Disney, and I don't know if you've ever been, but and I haven't been since like 2003. But I remember there's like buses that would take you from the airport to the hotel. And there were people on the bus that were from Boston and everything. And basically, instead of showing this like video where they'll show like a tour of everything and be like, hey, eat here, go here for shopping, like what to do at each park, they asked about the Pats game on. My parents said for some reason I just got so caught up in the emotion, the excitement of it all, that I was cheering for the Pats. So I always had like just, and it was through that. Like I don't remember too much of like the early dynasty, because like I was like 7, 8, 9, but then like basically all from basically throughout on, it's just been me rooting for the Patriots. And I'm unlike you, I did get caught up in the bandwagon era where it was, hey, this whole, what's going to happen when Tom leaves? Are you going to stick around after that? And I always kept this promise to myself. Like, I am going to be a fan. I'm not going anywhere, like, once he retires. And then last year, obviously with COVID, I just remember waking up to that, not the text, it was just the Instagram first thing I saw was just him there. And it was just, it was heartbreaking. But then I feel more connected to the team now because I actually read the book, The Dynasty by Jeff Benedict. I've referenced it on here on several podcasts. And now whenever I hear just someone have a bad take about the Patriots, I literally just shout, read the book. But, you know, for me, for the Pats, like, and even to like my girlfriend, like when I met her, she was a fan. And then it's just certain moments. And even to like, I remember going the 10 years without winning a Super Bowl and just the euphoria of experiencing 2015 against Seattle. Because I'll actually be honest with you, when Malcolm Butler made the pick, I didn't realize in the moment that he picked it. And then it took my brain a couple of seconds to process it. And then once that happened, I just completely lost it. But no, it's just a roller coaster ride now that I'm still glad to be a part of. And the only sad part is I've yet to be to Foxborough for a game. I've only seen them play in Buffalo once.
Well, I was supposed to be in Foxborough this weekend. We had my partner Connor and I, we had a big weekend planned. I was supposed to drive down to Boston on Thursday, spend the weekend. We were going to Pat Saints at 1:00 and then flying over to Fenway for Red Sox Yankees at 7. Okay. So I got to go to Foxborough and then I get to watch Yankees Red Sox at Fenway Park. Come on. It doesn't get any better than that. Right.
Oh my God.
And, but Biden didn't open the borders and it's $700 a flight to Boston. And I was like, I'm not paying $700 for a flight for a weekend. Connor got sick anyway, so it kind of makes sense. But let's talk about, if I can, sorry, I'm totally hijacking your show.
That's completely fine.
Let's talk about when Brady left, because that was actually a very significant day for us in general.
Yeah.
And I love telling this story. So I show up to work at 8:00 in the morning, and our premier here for American people, it's like our governor, and our premier, Doug Ford, was issuing a state of emergency because of COVID-19. So I'm sitting in my colleague's office. I was a site manager. She was the other site manager. We were sitting in her office watching Ford at 8:00 in the morning, declaring a state of emergency. Everything was being shut down. Not even kidding you. Literally, the shelves were empty at grocery stores. Okay, you couldn't find toilet paper. It was the hottest commodity in the world. And as I'm watching this video, or watching this live stream of the province shutting down because of COVID-19, we're at that moment getting emails from our directors giving us direction of getting people prepared to work from home. I look down and see a text and I click it open and it's my buddy and it says Brady's signing with the Bucks, right? Or Brady's leaving the Patriots. Brady announced he's leaving the Patriots. So I text my wife and go, oh my God. She's at work watching the same press conference and writes back, I know the province is shutting down. I said, fuck that. Brady's leaving the Pats. And she just wrote back, are you fucking kidding me? She's like, we're going into a state of emergency and you're texting me about Tom Brady.
Oh, I have a very similar story actually, because I remember my work. I work in the film production up here in Toronto, but I remember the Monday I was at work and we were doing at that point split shifts where it's like one crew comes in 1 week, one crew comes in the next week. That Monday I literally got told, do not come in tomorrow, and I was like, okay, cool, because like at that point later on I realized they didn't know what to do. So for some reason, so Tuesday I was off, I was at home, and then Tuesday, I literally happened to wake up, and when I said earlier with the Brady thing, so I get a text from my girlfriend of the link to his Instagram thing, and then I literally just looked at my phone, and then even I go downstairs too, and my mom like right away they know, like they even knew right away, because like I just had this look just of like complete distraught on my face of like, oh, I know. And then I had one friend who went to a Bucks game in 2019 sent me a Snapchat of a Buccaneers t-shirt. I literally just clicked it. I'm like, no, do not do that. Like just doing it to get under the skin and everything. And then I don't know why I suggested myself this, but I was watching I do this sometimes. I watch the ESPN shows, the TSN, to torture myself with their bad takes. But then also I was like watching NFL Network on a cycle, and I'm like sitting there like, why am I subjecting myself to half an hour Mike Giardi updates when I could be doing something better? But then again, you're right. This is the part Doug Ford was shutting down the province. We had nothing better to do. So, and also, dude, this is St. Patrick's Day as well. So not the best St. Patrick's Day on multiple levels here.
No, it was such a weird day, right? Like, it was such a weird day. I'm sitting there trying to prep my podcast for that night, which is Tom Brady's gone. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to do? At the same time, I've got IT running around my office like maniacs we weren't set up to work from home, trying to get all my staff's laptops all set up. I'm smoking 2 packs because I'm stressed about COVID and all that. So I'm coughing. People are freaking out because I'm coughing. They think I got coronavirus. We didn't even know it was called COVID at the time. It was coronavirus at that point, right? And it was just the weirdest 2 or 3 days of my life. Brady's gone. We're going into full lockdown. You know what I mean? And there's 30 total cases in the province. That's what always makes me laugh now, because we're panicking now. We're living with 1,000 a day or whatever it may be. But it was just, so between COVID, between Brady leaving, sitting at home, we didn't get up and running until the next week. So we like you sitting at home for 3 days with nothing to do. And I was just on, watching Skip Bayless, his opinion, watching, Kellerman and Stephen A. And it's like over and over and over again. Where I think I went wrong is I went on Twitter and I saw, there's emotion, right? And I'm always cool with emotion. I'm not cool with outrage and what I like to call fake outrage. And I like you because you stayed. You're torn this week, but you stayed with the Patriots, right? Like, you could already see people changing their avatars, or I can't wait to get my red Brady jersey, and yet their title is Patriots 6 Super Bowls and this and that. And I became such a Brady hater for a long time, but I was more mad at the fan base than I was at anybody else, right? And I was making that argument, like, I was a Patriots fan before Brady, I'm going to be a Patriots fan after Brady. I didn't cheer for him to win a Super Bowl last year. I cheered for him to beat the Chiefs because I'd rather Brady win a 7th. But people are like, you have to cheer for him. I'm like, no, I don't. I cheer for the Patriots to win a Super Bowl. I don't cheer for any other team to win a Super Bowl. When I cheer for a team to win a Super Bowl outside of the New England, it's because it's the Super Bowl, and I'm picking whatever team I dislike the most, because I hate 31 teams in the NFL. I don't fanboy Brady. And I think that it's become such a stick for me, and I've garnered so much hate because of it. And deep down, people who really know me, people who watch me forever, they know the amount of respect I have for Brady. People know I love Tom Brady. I got an autographed Tom Brady jersey right there that I've never taken down. I got 5 Brady jerseys. I wore one on game 1 in honor of Mac Jones, sort of the passing of the torch type of deal. But just my shtick now is being a Brady hater. So I've just embraced it. I've just been like, all right, let's go, bring it on. You know what I mean? I will tell you why.
No, I'm the same way. Like, for example, in 2020, like, I cheered for San Fran because I wanted to see Jimmy succeed, because I always liked Jimmy when he was here. And I always said the same thing with Tampa. I am not cheering for the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl. I cheer for, like, I always think kind of like I feel like it was always like you go through those like stages of grief where there's like, you're upset, you're angry at him. There's times last year I poked fun at him, like when they lost week 1 of the Saints and we beat the Dolphins. I was like, oh, look at that. We're 1-0. He's 0-1. And then
isn't it sad that was the best part of our season last year? That was week 1.
Yeah. I still say the best game of the season, in my opinion, was the Baltimore Sunday Nighter, because like this Sunday, I went into that game thinking we were going to just get stomped and it was going to be ugly. But it turns out ugly weather mixed then with Baltimore bitching about the weather, even though they're an East Coast team in an open roof stadium, was just a thing where it was like, oh, hey, I thought the low point. Like, I remember going into that game thinking just like, yeah, there's no way in hell we're winning this game. And like, I'm not saying that for this Sunday. It's just after what happened so folks, for those of you where we are recording on Monday night, but what happened yesterday, it's just not really a confidence booster. But then now with it, like that's the thing. 2020, I just like to look as a memory of the past, but even to 2021, I'm thinking like right now, look, last year we were 2-1. We're 1-2 right now. Excuse me. We were 2-1 last year. Could it be an opposite then now where we go on a roll in October? But then I don't want to get too ahead of myself. It's just this game. But then too, I look at this Sunday where I'm just like, okay, if we can let Mac go and play well, like let him throw and chuck, we saw what Matthew Stafford did to the Buccaneers secondary. So I just let to switch gears because look, Mac has the potential. I just feel like you gotta let him ride the bike. You just can't let him. You gotta take the training wheels off. Because even yesterday too, those RB screens with Bolden were pissing me off. Like I was screaming the entire time. Like where the hell is Harris?
Yeah. I mean, they only ran the ball 15 times yesterday, and there wasn't that many screens. Like you know what? I love your optimistic take. Come check us out on Dear Pats Nation. My partner Connor is going to be making the case tonight why the Patriots are going to win on Sunday. Connor is the optimist homer. I am the realist. And I had this game circled as a loss before the season started. I had this circled after we beat the Jets as a loss, and going into this week. I mean, listen, if we can have a cold tsunami, and Brady's used to playing down in Tampa, perhaps. To be honest with you, man, my expectations for this team since February, and I called Mac Jones in February as being our next quarterback, right? Or figured it'd be a Mac Jones type of player. Even after, and then in April when they did all the free agent, or for March when they did all the free agency, I still had this team as an 8-win team. I said this team is built for 2022, and I was ready to go on this year and I'm looking for moral victories this season. I'm looking for progressions. I'm looking for this. We look at Sunday's game, yesterday's game, and it was just collectively bad. And yeah, Josh McDaniels, man, running the ball on first and second down in the red zone. It's getting borderline comical at this point. Like it's just becoming a sitcom of how many times we're going to run the football in the red zone. The offensive line was horrible. The wide receivers, they were okay, but a lot of miscommunication. Mac Jones had 4 overthrows yesterday, like bad overthrows where he could have hit receivers. Jonnu Smith had a game to forget. The running backs, when they did run, they averaged 1.6 yards per carry, 1.6 yards. And this Tampa defense is a better run defense than the Saints defense was. That's even scarier going into this game. I believe that this game is going to be a royal ass kicking. And I hate saying it, and I hate being that guy. However, don't be upset by it. Like a lot of people got upset about the game yesterday against the Saints. And I wasn't. And I'm usually the one who gets upset. Like I'm known as the angry one on our show. And Connor was angry. He's like, why aren't you angry? And I said, because I knew they were going to lose. I've been telling you for weeks they're going to lose to the Saints. I had them going 2-2. I had them starting 2-0. And they should have beat Miami. So I'm taking that, even though they lost. I had them going 2-0 and then being 2-2 after these 2 games. And then I had them being 3-3 after Houston and Dallas. It's okay. I look at teams like Cincinnati. I look at teams like Jacksonville. So those are sort of the comparable teams to us. I look at teams like the Chargers, I believe that we're going to be in a better position in 2022 than all 3 of those teams. I think we're going to be in a better position than Chicago. I think we're going to be in a better position than I can't say San Francisco. San Francisco is already, come on, right? Yeah. But everybody else. So I'm okay with it. And this game to me, I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. I want them to really cheer Brady, and then I want him to get sacked 10 times during the game, right? Even if we lose 50-0, but they can hit him 10 times and put him on the ground and just show that compete. And I think that regardless of what happens, this is in my opinion only. Everybody has their own opinion, but in my opinion, this game is meaningless to the Brady Belichick debate. It's meaningless to, who was responsible for the dynasty. These are 2 teams in 2 very different stages of their development. If anything, the Bucks are now at their peak, and they're going to start declining in the next year or 2. Brady could play at high levels, but they're not going to be able to keep affording to resetting their team with the same players every year. They're about to go on the decline. The Patriots are only going to go up. And I'm sticking with my prediction that by 2022, this is when I really take this Patriots team serious as competing for the AFC East. You know what I mean? Because Buffalo is now at the peak, ready to decline as well. Nobody fool themselves. Josh Allen is going to keep them competitive for a long time, but they're about to not be as good as they are, even though they had a slow start this year. And I see this team competing for the AFC East, and I see them winning it by 2023. Competing 2022 with the possibility of winning it, and I'm guaranteeing to win in 2023. I like Mac Jones. I like his progression. And all these guys who are starting to come, like Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, who need to come together, they're here for the next 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? So it's only going to get better. I got a lot. I have a lot of faith in this team. I had no expectations going into this season. In fact, now I have them winning 7 games. And that's why that Miami game pisses me off even more, because that would have been my 8-game prediction.
No, I got you. For this Sunday, I always before I was always like unrealistic, where it was kind of like last year. I will admit I was guilty of this, admitting that I thought we were better than what we actually were. I kept like trying to paint.
What was your prediction? Because my partner Connor's was 13 wins, and I will not let him live it down. And if you tell me it's similar, I will tweet you every day and not let you live it down. Just all in fun.
I don't remember, but I think it was 9 or 10. I think I knew.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
It was like 9 or 10, which we realistically could have, but like I've started doing that where I hate the what if game. Like now it's the same thing with the I bet Chiefs fans are doing this like with week 2. What if Edwards-Helaire doesn't fumble there? We have a chance to win the game. What if they don't? Like it's just what ifs with sports are the worst thing in the world, I feel. So if you get off of them, you're gonna be. It's only better for your mental health. Because that's the one thing I say. Look, every other sport. I know you don't watch hockey. I know you like with the other sports, like for example, being basketball, baseball, hockey. There's an 82 and a 162 for games. So it's not until this time of the year with baseball where look, it's stressful where every game counts. With football, though, every single game means something. So that's why I wanted to say that. But as for this Sunday, I'm like that mix of you and your partner Connor, where it's just like, hey, I think there's like a little voice in my head saying, we're going to win. But then there's the realistic part of me saying, no, don't be shocked if we walk into their Sunday and we get our asses kicked. Like, I don't know, they put up 40.
My heart says we're going to win. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. My heart makes my mind have that vision of walking into work on Monday like this, and celebrating. My head is telling me enjoy that vision because you're not going to see it in real life. So I get what you're saying. You're listening to your heart, but your head is telling you differently. I am going to give you a great what if though, if I could. All right. And this is for all the Patriot fans out there. I know, and I hate what ifs too. I actually tweeted that today that I hate what ifs, but I said, what if the Patriots actually won that game yesterday? Do you know how we would have immortalized Mac Jones ripping his knee brace off mid-drive to finish that play? I said, if that was like the game-winning drive and that shot of him ripping off that knee brace would have been everybody's avatar, would have been everybody's profile picture. Like, I'm like, that would have been the most, that would have lived up to how the Chiefs have immortalized Patrick Mahomes' incomplete pass. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly where it would have been. Phenomenal.
No, I could totally agree. But no, my whole thing for this year though is look, I have us finishing second still. I'll still stand by that. I don't think 7. I was saying even this year, I think there's a chance. That's my absolute best case scenario for this team is 11-6, just because look, and that's how stuff go right this way. That started to taper off now, especially after not so much with yesterday's loss, but Miami, and then we have that tough stretch from because the one thing I'm saying right now, I had November 7th pretty much as a win going into the year. Now I can't say we can guarantee a win against Carolina the way they're looking really good.
No, yeah, they look spent, and Christian McCaffrey will be back by then. So
that was my survival pick, and they just got better for peanuts today too. And even too, then there's that stretch in November where it's like, okay, the only games I look at we can win probably Houston, the Jets, and the Falcons and the Jaguars. But the Jaguars is not until 2022, so I don't even want to try to think that far ahead. And as when you said the whole thing too, who made the dynasty better? Is this game say the Bucs come in, is it going to be Brady's better than Belichick? No fan is going to make that comparison. No true Patriot fan. It's the talking heads and the certain people who I was going to say another one, but I didn't want to. Certain people at like ESPN, Mike Greenberg, Fox, Nick Wright, people like that, or Skip, people like that are going to come on Monday morning and say, is it about this or this or this? You're going to have we'll see what Chris Sims does, because Chris Sims can be a bit off the wall. It's just, I feel like it's more about the national media, and more importantly, for you and I, we're not as affected by this. We probably see it enough on Twitter, but the Boston local sports media, not the beat reporters. I know some of the guys are good guys, but the radio hosts who I've been known to deal with, I feel like they're going to make it more about that. For us, look, whatever happens Sunday happens. I just know that we'll welcome them with open arms, but the second the kickoff happens, look, we want to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're the national media, and then there's another piece too, and I agree with you so wholeheartedly, especially about the Boston media, especially the radio, and I do make appearances on WEEI in Providence a lot. I go on like the Dundero Kitchen Show and that kind of thing, and Mark Dundero and I and people love our exchanges on Twitter because we're always going at it. I'm respectful with them. I'm a pretty respectful guy. You really got to piss me off for me to go off on you on Twitter, but it's just a constant negativity. But there's a different kind of fan now in the NFL, and I don't know if it's a social media thing, and it might have always existed. However, we
It's just
didn't.
more glorified now.
Yeah, we didn't see it before, but there's a lot of player fans out there. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of like it's not loyal to a team; they're loyal to a player. So you had guys who were Patriot fans, who were Brady fans, and they would come on my, podcast, YouTube channel, whatever it may be, back in 2017, especially after the Super Bowl loss, and be like, Brady's the best in the world, Belichick's an idiot, and that's when I really started discovering the player fan. And I was saying the same thing. I wrote something on Twitter today, and I said, remember, because I saw the Cam Newton fans out there who, have Patriot avatars who are all like, oh yeah, you guys wanted to cut Cam. Imagine what Cam would have done. I said, isn't it ironic that everybody who was all the Cam fans who were crying that they could not believe it was sick that Patriot fans would cheer against Cam Newton. Now you're gloating over Mac Jones. And let me lay it down right now for everybody. I wanted Cam Newton to start this season. So this isn't me coming from I hated Cam. I'm a Cam hater. I ask anybody who listens to me. I said it a million times. I wanted Mac Jones to sit this year. I didn't know who the better quarterback was. I didn't care. I wanted Mac to sit, learn how to be a professional quarterback, start next year. I wanted Cam to be the starter. So I'm not a hater. But the Cam Newton fan base and the ones who were Patriot fans who became Cam Newton fans and are still holding on to it are driving me through the wall, right? And it's the same with the Brady fans who were once Patriot fans are now Bucks fans. And I know, like, once people are like, well, once he retires, they're going to become, Patriot fans. I'm like, no, they're not. They're going to become like Joe Burrow fans, or they're going to become Trevor Lawrence fans, or they're going to become, they're going to find somebody else. Like, I'm a fan. Like, I love JJ Watt, but I didn't become a Texas fan and an Arizona fan. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I love Ray Lewis. If you want to know, my favorite player ever isn't on the Patriots. My favorite player ever was Ray Lewis, right? I hate the Ravens with a passion. So I think you can enjoy a fan, but the player fan has just brought it to a whole new level. And I think social media has just put the big bright spotlight on it.
No, exactly. Like, for me too, like I enjoy watching like guys like Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert fans. Like, hey, but am I going to go screaming and saying I'm a Cardinals fan? No, I consider myself maybe a bit of a quasi Cardinal fan. Where, look, if they do well and they succeed, I'll be happy for the guy. But I'm not going to be that, like going rooting for him, buying 10 jerseys, whatever. If I buy a jersey, I buy a jersey, but I probably not. The only case with the person I know that was like a Brady fan that is now a Buccaneer Brady fan is a buddy of mine, originally from Michigan, who's a big Michigan Wolverine fan. So in my eyes, he gets a bit of a pass because, look, he's followed Brady from just a little bit. Because, from Michigan to, like, he's always followed Tom. It's never been, and also he's a Lion fan. So I get it.
I was a Patriots fan, and I had an Eddie George. I'm an Ohio State fan. So tell your buddy he can go suck an egg, right? But I'm a Buckeyes fan. And I had a Titans Eddie George jersey because Eddie George is the greatest Ohio State quarterback to ever run. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have a Zeke jersey because I love Zeke. I loved him in Ohio. I got a Sermon jersey, an Ohio jersey. I didn't go out and get a San Francisco jersey, but I look around. I had Paris Campbell, who plays for Indianapolis. You know what I mean? I watch these guys and I hope for success. I mean, I have a Washington Chase Young jersey. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not a fan of them. I love Chase Young. I'm never going to cheer for Washington, right? But I mean, Chase Young is I mean, if you're an Ohio fan, you have to just worship the ground the guy walks on. You know what I mean? Like, because he's such a dominant force. Him and the Bosa brothers. Doesn't mean I'm going to cheer for the Chargers, but I get it. So I get it. If you're a Michigan fan, he won you a national championship. Sorry, I hate Michigan. I hate Michigan more than I hate anything, right? But won your national championship and whatever. But like, I get that completely. And if you want to just sit there and say I'm a Brady fan, that's fine. But there's a lot of Brady fans who masqueraded as Patriots fans. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a difference between masquerading as a Patriots fan and just saying straight up. And I had people straight up on my YouTube page back, and they'd be like, I don't like the Patriots. I'm a Brady fan. I'm like, fair enough. You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine. If that's what you are, that's what you are. That's fine, right?
Like the one thing I was going to say is you're probably going to hate this, but I actually do own a Brady Michigan jersey, for example. I'm not a Michigan Wolverine fan by any. I'm sorry. I just had to throw it out there. I just I wanted to get it. Like, at the same time too, one day I may own a Mac Alabama jersey. I hope to own, even for Patriots jerseys, I know I need a new one because like the only ones I have right now is I have my Hightower, I have a Gronk, I have a Brady, an Edelman. I may copy suit like you though and go for Judon. I don't know that number 9.
I bought a Hightower too. I bought a Judon and I bought a Hightower. I bought the Hightower white. It's tough in Canada to get jerseys though. Otherwise, we got to pay the American prices, and NFL.ca or whatever. Like they have like 6 jersey options. You want a Cam Newton? They got thousands of those. I'm thinking of getting a Cam Newton, by the way. I am. I'm thinking, you know what? I thought this kind of just feels like a jersey I need to have. Like this is a part of the history I never want erased. Like it was such a bad scene. I want to look at that jersey just to remind me in 2 or 3 years how far we came since Brady left the Cam Newton to Mac Jones.
The only person that I know that owns a Cam jersey, you probably know her. She's been a guest on here too, Gabby. She's the only person, Hurlbutt. She's the only person I know with a Cam jersey, personally.
And she's probably ready to burn it now because she fell out of love with Cam very quickly.
Like for me, like I'll admit, like because you're gonna find this weird, but my dad happens to be a New Orleans Saints fan, and he fucking hated Cam when he was in Carolina. So through him, I got to hate him, and then also too the 2013 Monday Night Football game that I still argue that was pass interference, Luke Kuechly on Gronk.
There's no argument. It was.
And I remember like just swearing at the bottom of my breath. That's the day I learned to hate Clete Blakeman. Like the first time I ever really hated an NFL official was that day. And then even to 2017, he came to Gillette, and then Graham Gano beat us on a field goal. So like I just hated him, and then the cockiness and the arrogance, and then even him admitting too after Super Bowl 50 that he didn't want to go for the ball when he fumbled it because he didn't want to get hurt. And I'm just like, you win at all costs in the Super Bowl. But then when he came here, that got all pushed out the window. And when he was here, I appreciated him, and then I got to be like, okay, look, he's not the future. And I remember in March, I was at work, and I see the Jim McBride tweet. Remember, Jim broke the signing and broke him getting cut. Yeah. I remember I was just sitting there. I was like, I could go record right now because I was furious, pissed off. But I've come to learn, look, wait until the dust settles and clears before you put yourself on a live mic. So once I found out the contract and I wasn't too pissed about it, I went to my car, recorded, uploaded it. And then the same thing too when he got cut. I did the same thing, kind of just like, hey, you know what? Thank you for your service, but we all know it probably is what's best. But I'm like you, though. I thought, look, you start him for the first few weeks, and then if it doesn't work out, you yank him for Mac. But then when Mac was deemed the starter, because at the end of the day, for as long as he's coach here, I'll always trust Bill Belichick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm starting to see the tide turning a little bit on Mac Jones from the fan base. I implore to people, he's played 3 games in the NFL. He's probably going to get the tar kicked out of him against 44-year-old Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Who's been in the league for 20 whatever years.
Yep.
He's a rookie. And that's what I wanted him to avoid. I wanted him to avoid this whole national attention that's going to come to this game this week. And it's funny that you brought up Cam Newton in 2017 because I've been seeing a lot of hate on Twitter lately for like Judon's the only good signing, Jonnu's a bust, Belichick wasted money. That 2017 game where they drove the field and kicked a field goal, what you failed to remind you was Deatrice Weiss sacked Cam Newton on 3rd down when the game was tied and would have forced a punt and put the ball in Brady's hand with 2 minutes left in the game in a tied game. Stephon Gilmore, for the 2nd week in a row, took a hands to the face penalty and gave Carolina a fresh set of downs, and he marched the field and they kicked the field goal. And up to that point, Stephon Gilmore had not played well. And there is a tweet that people have bookmarked. And every time something good happens, when he won Defensive Player of the Year, people send it to me. And I've eaten it. And I wrote, I'm sick of this bum. It's time to cut his ass. And so everybody who's mad about the signings right now, in 2017, week 4, I wanted the Patriots to cut Stephon Gilmore, who then became probably the most important player on the team next to Tom Brady going forward. So give them time. That's all I'm asking you. It's been 3 weeks. Give them time to acclimate themselves to the Patriots' way of doing things.
No, I completely agree with you. And look, we all have those takes. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, cut Jonnu, cut Hunter. I'm just saying like, we gotta like give them, I feel like we gotta give them more opportunities to succeed. Cause I feel like so far, one of the better signings, so it's kind of gone under notice. He hasn't done a whole lot, but Kendrick Bourne is really not proven his worth, but when he goes out there, he's making catches. And even yesterday, he had that acrobatic, just tiptoe and then into the end zone. And then on your note too, because I know what you were saying earlier about flights, and obviously Biden hasn't opened the border yet. Because my girlfriend and I were looking at going down, we were going to do Dolphins or Saints, but then once we realized the cost and everything, I would have done this week, but my wallet would have personally strangled me. I'm probably going to go down for the first time in 22 because I'll be honest with you, the only time I've seen them play live was they lost a game-winning field goal in 2011 to Buffalo. And I was still, I think I was like 17 at the time. And I remember I was getting shouted at, I got cursed at, I got beer thrown on me. Luckily, I think it was Marcel Darius's family was sitting right behind us. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. And ever since that day, I can say this wholeheartedly, I feel bad for the Buffalo Sabres, but I hate the Buffalo Bills. Like I'd go back to a game there, but I honestly can't appreciate them. And whenever I hear shout, my soul just burns a little bit more.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
I remember that game very well. Yeah, it's funny because we got a Buffalo guy coming on our show tonight, and he's a noted Brady hater, and he texted me and asked me to come on the show, so I know that he's got some stuff coming up. Yeah, I've had experiences in Buffalo that it's I'm pretty mouthy myself, so I kind of, as people tell me, I bring things on myself as well, like someone mouths off, I can't just let it go. I got to do the whole turn, and then I'd start popping off back, and never got into a fight there because people pulled me away, but came close at times, all right, man, you know what? You've hit me with enough beer today. It's time to it's time. It's the equivalent to I'll throw a Canadian reference in. Going to Ivor Wynne Stadium wearing an Argos jersey, you know what I mean? It's it's the exact equivalent, and I've worn lots of beer at Ivor Wynne, so it's not a big CFL fan, but it's I love going to the Labor Day game, and I've worn a lot of beer sitting there in my Pinball Clemens jersey.
I don't doubt it, but no, I know that rivalry wholeheartedly. I could go on because my mom's side of the family is huge for CFL. My grandfather was a pretty big CFL broadcaster back in the day. But no, like I've been to Leaf Sabres before, never had a problem once. Maybe some shouting, maybe a bird here or there, Jersey State bird to be more specific, but never a fight. And even too, like I was told by like a friend of mine from here who's a Bills fan saying, just you don't wear that gear all year round because no matter the time of year down there, because even though I hate the team, I have a Bills podcaster too that comes on here he's been on here a couple times. I'm trying to get him back on here, but there's a hate, but there's like an admiration, respect between us, like person to person. But when it comes to the Bills and the Patriots, yeah, like I'll go down to Buffalo for the day before COVID, shop, spend my money. But at the same time too, do I wish them success? No. Was I happy last year when they lost to Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely. Even though part of me wanted them to make it to the Super Bowl, play the Bucs just for Brady to rip their hearts out. Because I know more than us, they hate Tom.
That was the perfect scenario. The Chiefs get knocked out in the AFC Championship game, knock their fan base down a peg, and then Buffalo go lose in Tampa. That was my hopes for last season. Yeah, no, they got good outlets. So it's yeah, no, I hear you. And you know what it's like too, man, being from the 6 or you're in the 905, but being on the QEW, there's enough Buffalo Bills fans here, and they're a very bitter fan base towards the Patriots. Probably the most bitter out of every team out there, including Dolphins and Jets fans. It's there's a big bitterness that comes from the Buffalo side, and I always kind of say it's a one-sided rivalry because we don't really pay attention to Buffalo fans too much, So it's
Like I'm the same way with Buffalo fans. Just before we wrap up here, but my thing with the Bills fans was I feel like if I had never gone to that game and never was treated badly, I feel like my hate would be a little different. It's just because I went to the stadium and wasn't treated properly. That's more or less my reason for not liking them. I feel like, look, if I had never gone down to, I don't even know what's called anymore, Ralph Wilson's New Era, whatever. But if I had never gone down there and was treated that way, I feel like it'd be different. But at the same time, too, am I tempted to never go back to a Bills game if they're playing the Jets or the Dolphins just to cheer for nobody? Probably not. I'd rather drive the 4 hours down the 401 and be depressed in Detroit at Ford Field. And at least, you know what, I'd be warm there.
I'd go to a Dolphins game, wear a Patriots jersey and a Dolphins hat, and just have everybody just.
I remember too, because you know how they did the Bills in Toronto series here.
Oh God, yeah.
I know. I was more than anything, I was just pissed they never brought the Patriots up here. But I I feel like they would have realized it would be like 90% Pats fans.
Yeah. I mean, Ted Rogers, $124 to go sit up in the nosebleeds. Worst, and then couldn't figure out why they couldn't fill up the stadium. You know, it's like, well, I go to Buffalo and buy $15 tickets. You're charging me $130 to sit in the nosebleeds. Get out of here.
Yeah, but with that though, because I remember I went a couple of times. I went once when they're playing the Seahawks, just because I was given tickets. And I remember I had an old Sean Alexander jersey I got for Sport Check, which for American folks, it's like our Dick's Sporting Goods. And I remember I was wearing that in a Jays hat, and Bill Smith's looking at me being like, pick one or the other. And I'm just like, no. Like, oh.
Pick one or the other. You're wearing a Jays hat. Shut up.
I know. I'm like, the Jays play here. I'm rooting for the other guys because I hate you guys. So let's just call it as is.
This is my city. You shut up.
One question I just wanted to ask you too before we got out of here.
Yes,
what is, if you had to pick a Tom Brady moment that's non-Super Bowl moment that really sticks out to you, what would you have to say? I have to say, I said non-Super Bowl just because, it makes it like a Super Bowl is just too easy.
Yeah. I would probably say, like, I want to say the Saints, but I'm trying to, the big comeback, the throw to Kendrell Tompkins. That was Thanksgiving weekend for us here.
Yeah.
That was on the Sunday, the Canadian Thanksgiving. I remember that I was up at the cottage watching that game. Dinner was ready and I stayed to watch the game, even though I thought everybody kept telling me it's over. Why are you bothering? I probably got to go with that. I honest to God can't even think of another moment at the moment, which is it's weird. No, you know what? I'm going to say the Tom Brady moment that sticks out in my head the most was in 2000. I want to say 12, maybe before, maybe it was 10. Against the Jets when we ran up the Jets on Thursday or Sunday Night Football, and every time they scored a touchdown, Tom Brady turned around and pointed at Rex Ryan. It's that's probably the moment that sticks out in my head the most.
Was that the America Thanksgiving game or?
Yes.
Sorry,
it was Thursday. It was Thursday. It was the butt fumble. They blew them out. And every time the Patriots scored a touchdown, Brady would turn around and point to Rex Ryan on the sideline. It's one of the best moments of I can remember from Brady.
Fun fact: the Jets have not been back on NBC since that game, and for good reason.
They've never been on Sunday Night Football?
I don't think they've been on NBC since the butt fumble game. I honestly do not think that was 2012. It's 2021 right now.
Wow.
For me, there's a few moments that stick out. I have a story with the Saints game in 2013. So like I said, my dad's a Saints fan. And we're watching. It was just him and I and my grandparents. I remember he told me because he's like, hey, don't freak out or anything because he knows how I get during football. I remember when Cambrell did that, I just like ran around the college. I was the same thing too. I was up at the college for Thanksgiving, and I just did the same thing too, where I was like freaking out. Two other ones that come to my mind right away, they're not Super Bowl. One is the 2014 divisional round against Baltimore, because I swear I went into like cardiac arrest like 3 different times during that game. It was like 14-0 down. It's like, oh, but then we come back and then they go up and then we go there and then we just took control. Like that was just crazy. And then 2017 week 3 against the Houston Texans, where he had that dime to Brandon Cooks in the end zone with like 30 seconds to go. So those are just a few of them that come to mind. Like the Brandon Cooks one for some reason, just because I remember he throw, like I said, just an absolute dime across. Brandon Cooks catches it, tiptoe. See you later.
Yeah. I guess I'm starting to think. I'm thinking of the Texans as well, but I think I'm going back to 2012 and the comeback.
That game where Houston wore those dumb varsity jackets.
Yep. And funny story about that. It's the only time in my adult life that I ever turned a game off. They were getting blown out. And I said, and got pissed off and turned off the TV. And I think I just went to bed pretty shortly after and missed the comeback. So I remember waking up the next morning, turning on Jay and Dan, and finding out that the Patriots came back and beat the Texans. So after that, I suffered through the 2014 beatdown by the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football because I refused to ever turn a game off again.
The only 2 I've ever turned off was that one, and then 2018 against the Lions on Sunday Night Football. Those are the only 2 games in recent memory that I can remember turning off.
I thought you were going to say Super Bowl 51.
No, Super Bowl 51. I remember I went to the garage and had because everyone knew I was getting really mad. I literally had to go to the garage, talk to myself, calm myself down, and then from there I was just like, It was my mom. I remember my mom saying the entire time, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. I had zero faith. I did not have faith until they got the touchdown in the 2-point to make it 28-20 that we were coming back. I had no faith until then. And then once we won the coin toss, I knew we were winning the game. The
Patriots made it 28-9. Steven Gostowski missed the extra point. I gave an exaggerated laugh and went outside, and my buddy was inside, and my wife followed me outside, and I was having a smoke, and I'll never forget. And I said to her, you know, I don't even care if they lose. I'm like, that's getting them blown out. Like, it's ruined my Super Bowl experience. Those are real words I used. It's ruined my Super Bowl experience. And then I went inside, and my boy's like, Hightower strip sack, Matt Ryan. The Patriots got the ball at the 15. And I was like, what? And then they scored. And then I was like, yeah, let's go.
Most underrated moment from that comeback. I'll say that right now. Most underrated moment of that comeback was that strip sack.
150%. And I'm sorry, I'm going to take over your show again. I need to wrap up because I got to go do my show.
Hey, you know what? I was just about to too, because I got another reporter, my buddy Keegan Stiefel from Pat's Pulpit, coming on at 8:30, because we're gonna go a little more on the painful side and talk about what happened against the Saints, and then do some Patriots banter like you and I were doing. But it's been a pleasure having you on. And before we wrap up, just tell the people where they can find you on social media and your podcast.
Yeah, so you can find us on YouTube. Just look up Dear Pats Nation. You can find us on Newsbreak, newsbreak.com/Dear Pats Nation. We cover the Patriots for them. I believe we're the only Patriots video content creators for them. They try to keep it narrowed down. We just won a contest last month. We were the third best in the world, man. Not just football videos for views. So we're pretty popular over there. So you can come follow us over there. Follow me on Twitter at DPN_Ray. That's DPN_Ray. You can follow us at Dear Pats Nation. Find us there. Also give my boy Connor Commentary at Connor Commentary. That's my partner, Connor. Go. If you're looking for serious Patriot stuff, follow me on Newsbreak, or I do a show on Colorcast, the Colorcast app. That's where we do get serious. If you're looking at just have fun and a lot of guys talking shit, come see us on our YouTube channel. We go live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, Sunday through Thursday.
Sounds good. Well, anyway, Ray, it's been an absolute blast getting to talk to you. Hopefully get to do this again sometime. And hopefully, you know what, next time it's on a little bit of a more positive note.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for listening to episode number 114 of YWC Football Talk. I'll see you guys for week 4 predictions with my friend Phil on Thursday night, but have a good night for now.